Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by PromoCorner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome back to yet another exciting episode of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. But of course, before we get to them, we got to tell you about our fine sponsors today over at the Promo Show, PromoShow.com. It might only be August, but I'm telling you, it's the perfect time to start looking for ways to show your clients how they can show appreciation. And it's that holiday gift-giving season coming up, not too far around the corner. So look, we've got a potential UPS issue coming up with staff and all that. Maybe we'll launch into that a little bit, but hey, all the more reason to consider, placing orders a little bit sooner. So definitely consider it. Join Promo Show on Tuesday, August 29th from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern to attend the holiday gift theme show. Distributors can register by clicking on the holiday gift banner at promoshow.com, and suppliers can reach out to sales at Promo Show if they need help reserving a booth. There's going to be education, entertainment, giveaways throughout the day. So be sure to check it out on August 29th from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. Distributors go to promoshow.com, click on that holiday gift banner to register, and suppliers email sales at promocorner.com. If you're interested in getting a booth, promoshow.com, the entire industry virtually. Why don't we say hi to Stephen McFadden? How are you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing well. I played some football last night, so I'm a little sore this morning. But other than that, doing fantastic.
Yeah? Fantasy football, right?
No, real football.
Flag football?
Sure. There's a lot of contact involved. I've got like a bruise on my thigh and a bruise on my knee and a bruise on my sternum. It was a rough evening, and I have the welts to show for it. So,
do your bruises have bruises?
My bruises have bruises. Yeah.
What position did you play?
So I play like the tight end snap role in a 7-on-7. So I have 3 games. I have 3 touchdowns. So I'm pretty lethal out there.
All right.
Little Gronk.
Little Gronk. All right. Well, I don't know if you know Meg the Terminator, Erber, but she's on the show with us today as well. Meg Erber, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And speaking of fantasy football, Jeff has been added to Crab Fiesta.
I don't know if anybody knows what Crab Fiesta is, but yeah.
That's just our fantasy football league name, and it goes back a long way, which has nothing to do with me. But we're excited, and lucky him got the first pick in the draft this year. No pressure.
Meg, I already kick your ass in our league.
I know. I don't give it enough time.
I figured I might as well join another one and kick your butt in both. So
that's fine.
Although I feel a little, slighted just because it is a keeper league, and as a newbie, I've got to take somebody else's roster.
But you get Jalen Hurts. But you get Jalen Hurts as a keeper.
Do I want Jalen Hurts though? In
the 9th round. Okay.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, we're joined today by a very special guest. We've already lost half our audience because we're talking way too much football in July. Cheryl, how are you doing, first of all?
I am doing great, Jeff. Thanks for having me on again.
Yep, I'm super excited to have you on again. Very excited. And we're going to talk spirit wear, back to school, selling into university, maybe a little bit. We'll get into all that and why right now is maybe an important time to look into that. But of course, Cheryl, it is customary for us to give our special guests a good 3 to 4 minutes to introduce themselves and maybe how you got started in the promotional product industry and what you've been up to since. So take it away for those that didn't tune in the last time you were on the show.
Okay, sure. Again, my name is Cheryl Hokanson, and I am the owner of Brand Boosters. I've been in the industry for 19 years now. And previous to that, I was actually a flight attendant for 19 years. Started out with Piedmont Airlines, and that morphed into US Air, which is now American. So super fun industry to be in. Never thought I would quit it, but after 9/11, a lot of things changed. So I got into this industry. I actually worked in I worked for University of Phoenix for a short period of time. Through my networking with that, I met somebody in this industry, and that's how I got started. And at the time, I had kids playing sports, and they were in Boy Scouts and all of that fun stuff. And I'm also married to an amazing graphic designer. So selfishly,
That works.
I was selling to all of those clubs, teams, and Boy Scouts, and having my husband come up with these amazing designs. And I was having a lot of success with it. My boss at the time was trying to push me more towards corporate. And at the time, I was just like, oh, no, this is great. This is fun. And I can see his point after 19 years of doing this. So I would say today I'm doing more corporate, but I still have my handful of schools that I work for, or maybe more than a handful, because I'm a part of my community, and I built this reputation. And I might do it different than other people, because I will tell you, the first time I went into my kids' high school, I had 2 kids going into 9th grade, went in with my checkbook at back to school night, right? Ready to buy the spirit wear. Mm-hmm. And it was ugly. And it was kind of girly. And my son wasn't going to be wearing that. So that just kind of planted the seed then, like, I'm getting involved. I'm going to change this around. So, I did. We came up with some designs. We stuck them on all different colors, every color you could think of. And kids weren't buying 1, they were buying 3 and 4 because they wanted all the different colors. So that really kind of got me going. Then I got involved with sports boosters at my kids' school because they're athletes. And they literally took me into their little, spirit wear room. And they had a ton of Adidas sweatshirts, really nice sweatshirts. But when I tell you, it was like, name a school football, name a school wrestling. It was just text, and they couldn't sell them. They couldn't give them away. So it was a big lesson. And this is what I've always done with my schools is I lead with design. So if they have a tired logo, a lot of times I will just, say, hey, how about I play around with this a little bit? I'll present a couple of ideas. And next thing you know, like, their sales are up because it's really good quality, but it doesn't have to be Under Armour, Adidas. Not that those are bad, because sometimes I will do a mix of those. But sometimes I think people with spirit wear get a little afraid to put something expensive out there. I wouldn't do that with the elementary kids, because let's face it, they just grow out of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when you sneeze, they're in the next size. So, but with the high school kids, yeah, I started pushing the envelope with more kind of like college level bookstore items, and it was crazy how much they sold. Yeah. So that is how I got into it. But those 2 stories like really helped me. Some people would say, oh, you're more expensive than Joe. Well, Joe's not doing what I'm doing. Joe's not, he's giving you basics, and yeah, everyone's going to buy 1 t-shirt because, obligatory t-shirt. Mm-hmm. But if you appeal to the parents and the teachers and the kids and give them something they're proud to wear, not your basic Gildan shirt, that's fine, but give them something a little more elevator soft that they want to wear all the time, you're going to sell more in the end. So that's kind of my approach to spirit wear.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like I go to like the local like high school football games and stuff like that here because it's literally in my backyard, and it's the shirts that they sell are surprisingly cheap. I mean, I think they sell them for like $5, but it's like the roughest or something. I mean, and I'm sure they're being donated. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure they're either being donated or purchased very inexpensively. And they're not making very much on them as a fundraiser, and they sell a lot of them, but I would so much rather wear like a Bella 3001 or something like that over a Gildan any day of the week.
Absolutely.
So, and of course design matters as well. 100%. So definitely hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I don't know if
you've got some things to say. So
yeah, I mean, as soon as you said you lead with the designs, I'm like 100%. And it's very, people are shocked when I say nobody wants to wear your logo, and people are like, but this is what we do. Okay, well, you can still put it on there, but you don't have to lead with like, Millville School or whatever, and it could be some type of design or message, and then put the logo somewhere else, the sleeve, the cuff. I was just in a customer yesterday or Monday talking about this, and I reiterated it with collateral and examples, and they were just blown away. And when I see that in a customer's eyes, that light up, and it's like this light bulb just goes off. And so, yeah, it's really refreshing to hear a distributor talking about this, and that I haven't shoved that down their throat. So that's really nice.
Well, luckily I have, a graphic designer who lives in my home. So he has a full-time job, but he does do a lot of my graphic design work.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And, like working with schools, like I have an elementary school that they'll have the kids have like a little art contest. And then of course we have to clean up their art because it's not print ready at all.
Yeah.
But that's kind of fun, getting them involved. I know I have raised lots of money for the local high schools with their spirit wear. And I would say, like for me, it starts when school ends. I meet with the kids in June before they get out of school, and we talk about what they want. These are the high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about what they want. I come up with some designs, or they may have some designs. Sometimes I think people forget, the teachers and the parents, they want to wear the stuff too. So definitely incorporate, the quarter zips and, some of the things that the parents would like, a vest, things like that. And then of course, like for the high schools, do something special for the senior class. Something that's just for them. I just had a brand new high school open up last year or 2 years ago. And they just had their first graduating class. So we sold a boatload. And again, we did like a collegiate level sweatshirt, something that would be like a keepsake. So it's good to have something on the lower end that everyone can afford, but then throw that really special sweatshirt in there.
So Cheryl, I have a question for you. Are you setting up like a little e-commerce or online stores for these people, or are you sending out like an order form that goes home with every student? Well, how are you doing that?
We used to do the order form thing. I am so glad we have e-commerce now. So yes, I set up stores. It's so much easier to do.
Okay. What platform do you use? Just out of curiosity.
Order My Gear.
Okay. I've heard a lot of good things about them. So I know SNS is affiliated with them as well. So yeah, and I think that makes it really easier. We've talked about online stores here on the Insider a lot and the pros and cons, but I really feel like when it comes to spirit wear, I mean, you could sell it all year, but if you need people's sizes and you're trying to fundraise or whatever, then it's probably the best way to do it would be through an online store. So
oh, absolutely. It's just so much easier. I think the parents appreciate it and the organizers really appreciate it because they don't have to handle the money. We just talk to them about how much they want to add to each item. They get a check when it's all said and done. So
nice.
It's beautiful for them. So much easier. And for Steven, my local high schools, I will, for fulfillment, because I have some pretty large schools, so the kids can make more money and kind of get a little involved. For a couple of my high schools, I will have like a fulfillment party at their school. So the kids get hours. I guess they need a certain amount of hours to graduate, volunteering. So it's win-win for them. And then I cut them a check for helping to bag everything. So I teach them how to do it. And then we go through and I bring cookies and, make it like a party. So that's kind of fun.
Nice.
Great idea.
Yeah.
So Steven, I've got a question or two to maybe dive deeper into this, but I want to make sure you don't have any questions before I cut you off or do anything like that. So
no sweat. Yeah. This is I have a love-hate with spirit wear personally. And it's, so maybe we can just talk about that just briefly, but I know one of the hates that I used to have with it was, the ever evolving, people that are in charge of spirit wear and working with PTAs. And that has always been just a nightmare. So we haven't done as much in that field anymore, primarily just because working with PTA groups was impossible. Now, on the flip side, working with, owners of dance studios, working with places that are, in charge of a sports department or something, or things like that have been hugely successful. So, and I also noticed one of the things is something that's been done the same way for so long, with paper order forms and things. So when you can present those solutions via an e-commerce platform, fulfillment, you've got their names on it when they come and pick it up, you can pass it out. They're like, oh my goodness, this is hours and days and weeks that you saved us. And it's such a huge relief for them. So maybe you can speak to that. Is that kind of what you've seen as well, or there's pros and cons and so forth?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, even the PTA thing, I totally feel you, because as much as, or you've trained somebody for a couple years and then someone else comes on, they've got different ideas, or they have a different person they want to use.
Sure.
So that's hard. I mean, knock on wood, my one high school, I've been with them for like 16 years. So that's been nice. And they have passed me along. But I'm dealing with teachers mostly for that. I'm working with the kids, but the teachers are in charge. So that it's easier. But I agree with you. When the PTAs change over and you've got, sometimes people just don't understand the process. Doesn't matter. It's just a lot of hand holding, right? So it's a lot of your time trying to walk them through that process. But I agree with you. I've worked with, dance studios and, the owners. That's easier because it's almost like it's their budget, it's their money, but when you're working with the schools, I mean, their major thing is they need to make money.
Right.
So I tried to just guide them into, like, look, no, we're not going to do 20 different designs. That's not happening. You will never meet your minimums. I try to educate them on, every color and every location is going to cost you more money, and you're trying to make money. So just to be strategic with it and kind of keep their, rein them in. But like you said, it's a lot of hand holding. And when there's a lot of turnover, you feel like
now, let me
you're
ask
always
you,
recreating the wheel.
With because you had mentioned, a lot of different styles and colorways and SKUs and things like that. So has, like, I guess some of the advancements in printing technology sort of helped you sell spirit wear? Like, are you doing any DTF or anything like that? Because I know that's significantly cheaper than paying for screens and doing, a run of 12 or something, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. DTF is definitely, I mean, that's something new for me in the last year. And I was a little afraid to use it because I just wasn't used to it. But wow, you can do a lot of amazing things. Like my one high school, they just did staff shirts. We did some beautiful polos, but the logo they wanted to use is not what I would have wanted to use, but the client wanted it. It was a lot of detail. There's no way I was doing embroidery with that. You just couldn't. It was way too detailed. But the DTF, beautiful. And they love them. So that's new for me. So I feel like you're always evolving. Right. What I was doing 10 years ago is totally different than what I'm doing now. I love the e-commerce. Like Stephen said, you're providing a solution to them. You're taking a headache off their plate. That's kind of what I kind of lead with too, is like, look, I'm going to build the store for you. I guide them on what items they should be selling. I mean, usually May, June, I start putting together stuff, seeing if there's anything new on the market, which is when you go to your SNS and CMR and, all your favorite suppliers to see what's new, what's coming out. So you can kind of add that to the basic mix that you already have. And then, throw some fun things in there, like the belt bags and, whatever is popular that year. Lanyards are always popular. I feel like tie-dye for the little kids. You got to have the tie-dye.
You mean fanny packs, Cheryl?
Fanny packs.
Fanny packs.
Fanny packs.
All right.
I'm a fan of the fanny.
Okay.
Fanny packs. Fanny packs. Fan of the fanny pack. I'm a fan.
Stephen, you had mentioned PTAs. Okay. Cheryl, are there other, are there student bodies? Are there different, if you've never sold spirit wear or sold into, let's say, high schools or whatnot, are there other ways? Like, how would you get involved? Like, where would you start? Was it just, I know your experience, you said you were already dealing with those, like the PTAs and stuff because your kids were in school, but I'm sure you've branched out beyond just your own kids' school.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What advice would you have?
The good thing is, referral and making sure, like I would put my card in the bags. You'd be surprised that people are like, hey, I'm looking for something. Every time the orders would go out, I would get a couple calls from people saying, can you do this for my company? Or, so that's great. The PTAs, pretty amazing. Right now, I would say, get on some of these Facebook groups. Like My neighborhood has this Crofton area mommy's play group, camp. I'm telling you, those ladies, you want something, it's out there. I've picked up several clients off of that page. So I'm just saying, if you're the area you want to work in has a group like that, see if you can join some of those groups online.
Do you think they would let Jeff or Steven in any of those
I was gonna ask,
Mommies.
Steven, are you in any Crofton Playground Mommies Facebook groups?
So there's a notorious group called the Ladies of Holly Springs. That's like a massive group in our town. I mean, there's got to be thousands of
There you
ladies
go.
in there. I am not in it. Now, I know the lady that runs the site, though, and so if I need to get something in there, nudge, or whatever, it can happen. But yes, there's a lot of power in those groups. I try to stay as far away from them as possible because I've seen that power used both for good and for evil. So
yeah, I was kicked out / left very forcefully.
It depends on the group, because there's another group too that I'm almost like, don't put my name out there.
Yeah, right.
I hate to say it, but you know what? Some people are like, and I want 2 t-shirts, and I'm like, like that's not really
with the Disney logo. They want them with the Disney logo, and you're like,
Right.
I can't. I just
that's what I mean.
Stop. Go to Etsy. Let them deal with it.
but a high school is crazy because you have music boosters, you have the sports boosters. There's a robotics club. There are umpteen different clubs in there.
Yeah.
But the teachers, I mean, the staff, a lot of counties will give, money for them to get a staff gift, which is how I got, that polo order, or, the end of the year, they're always giving like staff gifts, either from the PTA or it's coming from the county gave the school funds, or they have leftover money to spend. So it's, graduation, there's all kinds of stuff. Prom. I do a lot of stuff for prom. That's the towel with everybody's signature on it, or all their names, or this year for one, they had like a Hollywood theme. So we did like badges that were their ticket. It was a VIP badge, right?
That's cool.
And then we did the flip stick was a giveaway.
That's so funny.
With the red carpet on it. We just did a lot of fun stuff. But prom, they usually do have money for that. They're giving the kids a gift, or they might get a gift for graduation. You've got
question for you, Cheryl.
Huh?
So I said I have a question for you. So when you're doing the spirit wear and you're what are some of the maybe brands or styles that you see do the best on these e-commerce stores for the school spirit wear selection for them? Maybe it's the bookstore or maybe it's something else, but what products or brands do you see do the best sales wise?
Just products. I mean, if we're talking apparel, it's always
anything.
I mean, apparel wise, it's always going to be a t-shirt, a long sleeve tee, and a hoodie.
Okay.
Sweatpants do good in high school, not so much in the younger grades, at least my experience. But people want that moisture wicking too. So they either have the budget and they specifically say, I want Under Armour. I get a lot of requests for Under Armour. But the mom in me usually talks to them about availability and like the budget, like I can give you something with same quality that's not that high price tag, but sometimes they just want what they want.
And you're in Maryland too, so there's a lot of give back component to the Under Armour brand in that state. So that I can totally see why that would be really big down there, 100%. And that's good. I think in that high school to collegiate market, the brand, you lead with the brand because that's what they want. I think in that younger market, it's easy to sell the less expensive stuff, A, because they are growing out of it, and B, they just don't care as much. It's more the parents that are driving those sales, and it's going to be financially provoked or whatever. But well, look what Jeff put up.
Yeah, it wasn't. My arm wasn't twisted at all to put some nice activewear slides in here. But just to give you guys a quick rundown of like how you can sort of break this up. I mean, S&S has done a great job, and so has Sanmar. Not to be completely of
course
biased or anything, but Certainly putting different colors together of different products and trying to really help you be on theme is something that you guys have done a great job with here in particular. So anything that you want to add to this, Meg, while I'm flipping through it?
Not really. I think it's just, if there's a theme or if there's a color, it's very easy to get with one of your apparel rep, whether it's us, Sanmar, Alpha, or wherever, and get them to put something together for you, or Headwear, and you can put some pieces of collateral together when you're building out your template for these customers, and you could even change up the color and use the same products because there's so many offerings this year. But just by putting their logo on it and telling this story, like we have socks here, we have a lot of accessories. A lot of times people don't lead with socks, so maybe they might not lead with headwear, but when you're adding them to a lookbook or a flyer, they start thinking that route. Oh, okay, I didn't think about lanyards this time or whatever. So it's always good to kind of offer a really good selection of product, but stay within the theme, stay within the school colors, and you could probably make it pretty easy for yourself if you just build out a template and then change the colors per school. So It's just a little something that I know we do, and we always pass it along to the distributors.
That's very, I appreciate things like that, Meg, when our apparel peeps put together a catalog like that, because it is so easy to take that to a meeting and
good to
see
know
the colorways for their school. I think that's
Awesome.
great. And in
Well, I'll
Maryland,
send it to you.
you were
Go
talking
ahead.
about Maryland. What sells here is the flag. So
Oh, the Maryland
a
flag,
lot of
yes.
Spiritwear has the Maryland flag.
The
It's
crest, right?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red, black, yellow, and white. It's crazy. And it sells like you're crazy not to use the flag.
How many colors is that? Like 3 extra colors, 3 or 4 extra
It's
colors?
4 colors, in that logo.
People are
Yep.
crazy.
100%. But it is definitely one of the best looking flags in the 50. Just putting that out there. Steve McFadden, before I get any rebuttal from that statement, why don't you give us some numbers about Spiritwear? Because I know you're dying to give us the numbers. Yeah, I know. Data has become my niche, I guess. So, I took a look at the consumer report and also the some of the spend in the industry, and I always think those are good numbers to see what's growing, not only just where that's at, but what's growing and what's falling, and see different categories. Sales figures by industry type is always a good one to look at because we want to know who's buying, the most in promo. Number one for several years has been healthcare, but in the aggregate, like if you were to combine both education for higher education, so they break them out. Education and higher education is 4.9%, but education K through 12 is 3.4%. So if you put those together, 8.36% of spend, it would put it number 2 overall category in the industry, which sounds like a low percentage number until you realize that's $2.09 billion in promotional spend. So that's a huge number. And if you take away higher education, so if you just focus on K through 12, you're still talking about over $1 billion in sales. So huge industry for promotional product spending. There's also another category that's outside of that, which is team sports and recreation, which was another 2.6%. And that equates to about close to 700 million in sales in promotional spending. Now, that doesn't include licensed retail merchandise. That doesn't include anything like that. That is just unlicensed merch. When you get into unlicensed, it crosses the bridge between promotional and retail sales because of how it's reported with CLC. But I can tell you that equates to about 32 billion in collegiate licensing sales per year, which how much of that comes from promo, how much of it is direct sales, is probably hard to tell based on how they do reporting. But I would say that we have a sliver of that as well in our industry. So overall, really good categories. And then the other measurable is what's growing. And they look at any industry, any segment that grows more than 20% year over year as a high growth category. Education in the aggregate grew more than 20%, and it was actually the top growing category from 21 to 22. And not on the list in the 20%ers, but was still good, was team sportswear, which grew 13%. So both of them are in the positive directions of sales spend and look good, like good industries and people that are buying. So I don't see it going away.
I hope it doesn't like devalue it at all when I say this, but I feel like it's more like the low hanging fruit as well. It's like easier to kind of get into and to gather some of those orders because there aren't, like Cheryl, to your point, when you were talking during your introduction, you said, oh, your boss or superior or whatever was saying, oh, maybe you should do more corporate stuff. Well, I think that's what everybody in our industry focuses on is the corporate stuff. So that's why, I feel like it's a little bit easier to go and call on some of these organizations and booster programs and things and try to get some of those orders.
And I will say, working with unlicensed spiritwear stuff, that takes away a level of friction as well. I mean, you don't have to worry about LRG or CLC or anything. You're just working with the school, right? And they own their branding. Now there are some schools that I know, like when you get into 4A, 4AA, 5A, where they have contracts with Adidas,
Under Armour, Adidas, Nike. Yep.
So you don't want to put your head above the line too much where now you're competing with your direct reps, but there are things right below there where you can still help out and provide those products.
You brought up an interesting thing with those schools, right? Like, so I was in a lot of these schools for years, right? My kids are athletes. I'm working with them. And I literally one day had a coach call me and say, Cheryl, I'm sorry, but they're telling me I can't use you anymore. And I'm like, who's
sounds like college,
Well, I know this was the athletic directors in my county signed like this long-term contract with Under Armour, BSN Sports in Dallas. Now we're taking our dollars out of the local economy and giving it to someone far away. Kudos to them, but you know what? That was really sour when I've built relationships for years to be told we're not allowed. So the way I worked around that was to work with the like the student class officer, because apparently part of that contract was, because I'm like, well, I can still just do the spiritwear because I never really was a uniform person, but part of the contract was all of the spiritwear for the sports has to go through BSN. Yeah. And I can't tell you like how many parents would complain to me about like how long it's taking, or, they don't have that personal touch with their rep that they do with me. Like I can drop by the school and I can meet with them and I'm offering suggestions they're not. So, but I can't sell that. I can't sell Under Armour to the sports teams now, but I've done okay going, just looking outside of that.
Yeah.
But that's tough because everyone thinks they're supporting Under Armour in Baltimore, which they are, but a lot of the money is going somewhere else out of our state. So that's a tough one.
It is tough. I'm sorry.
I know it's,
So Cheryl,
it wasn't just me, but several people like me in Maryland that got the shaft from a local company that, that was tough.
I should have maybe asked you before the show if I could ask this question as well. So if you don't feel like answering it, definitely don't. Okay. But are there any other negatives to dealing with spiritwear, especially when you're leading with design and things like that? And I think you probably have an idea of where I'm going with that question, so you can answer it or don't. Completely up to you.
Are you talking about artwork I design that people steal?
Yeah.
That is definitely something I would say is a negative, and I've even recently been dealing with that where I find out people are selling spiritwear with my design. So and that's a problem like what Stephen was talking about, where you have the turnover, right? So I'll work with somebody for 5-6 years and the deal is, and maybe this is wrong on me, but I feel like I'm investing in them, and I'll say like, look, I'll do the artwork for you as long as you're using me to produce it. I'm not charging you for it. If you want to buy it, we can discuss that then. If you want to move on and take the designs, that's fine. It's your prerogative, but you can't take my designs with you.
100%. That's not wrong.
Yeah. Like even recently I found that there were 2 local clubs that were selling my designs, and it's sad that you have to get into that. The last thing I want to do is sue a local,
right. I know,
whatever club or whatever, because I was trying to help them. But when you get new people in, most people are okay when they're like, oh, we didn't know. Like, I understand that because maybe they didn't know.
Sure.
But some people will just roll with it and just say whatever, and I would say that is a downside. So I'm actually in the process of kind of changing some systems with the artwork where you have to.
If
have
it makes you
something in
feel any
writing.
better, I've had that issue on the collegiate level. So it's not just immune in the high school, and that one got really sticky. But it's definitely something that is out there, and you just hope there's good faith people out there, and got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I would say in my 19 years, luckily it's only happened a handful of times.
Same. Yeah.
So I try to concentrate on the positive relationships I have with my other clients, and that this is a blip, and I guess good for them. They made some money on it. It feels like stealing. I think they just don't understand how much blood, sweat, and tears went into that design, and how many conversations you've had with a client in good faith, and then someone just dismisses it as simple, or all you did was add this little piece of it, and it's like, no, I did the whole thing. Yeah,
that's why I wanted to ask the question, because if you are going to sell into Spiritwear, maybe either get that money up front for if you're doing the design work, or create some type of legal agreement or something.
Right, which is what I'm doing now, is having people sign off if I choose to do that, to invest my time in that. And that maybe is my big heart, that I feel like I do like seeing these schools make some money and reach their goals. It's a feel-good thing in this industry you can do to help out somebody in your community. But then when they do something like that, one, they dismiss all your talents, and yet they're making money off of it. So I don't know, that's a character flaw with some people, but I think most people would probably say, oh my God, I didn't know. And it's okay. But I would definitely say, protect yourself. Make sure you get things in writing. I do have a contract, and there is a line in there, but I'm going to do a total separate document about artwork. Going forward. So I think that's a lesson for anybody out there. You know what? Susie might love you, but Joe's not. So, I don't know.
Thanks, Steven.
Get it in writing.
Anything else to add to the conversation before we wrap it up?
No, sir.
That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Hey,
thank you, Cheryl.
Again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Cheryl, it was awesome having you on again. This fine broadcast was brought to you by our good friends over at PromoShow.com. And it might only be August, but again, it's the perfect time to start thinking about ways to show your clients how you can show appreciation, or how they can show appreciation. It's that holiday gift giving season. Join Promo Show on Tuesday, August 29th from noon to 4 p.m. to attend the holiday gift theme show. Distributors can register by clicking the holiday gift banner at PromoShow.com, and suppliers can reach out to sales at Promo Show if you need help reserving a booth. There's going to be education, entertainment, giveaways throughout the day. So be sure to check it out on August 29th from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. Distributors, make sure you go to PromoShow.com, click on that holiday gift banner to register, and suppliers, you can email sales@PromoCorner.com. If you're interested in getting a booth, PromoShow.com, the entire industry virtually. Cheryl, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join us again today, and just to give us some knowledge about Spiritwear and selling into schools and student body associations and all that good jazz.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit PromoCorner.com.